Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Guys, thank you for your patience and giving me the time to move and understanding. It's been a horrible move, worse on some of us than others. My rescue pup Danny is having a hell of a time here. Anyway, guys, and I've still got stuff to unpack. So this is not the official place that I'll be doing my broadcast from. However, we're in the apartment, so there goes that. So I lost power today and lost electric and internet yesterday, so let's see what's going on here. Guys, I do want to tell you that I watched the Lifetime. Of course I did. It's a terrible show. I watched the Lifetime, Love After Lockup. And, it's a 41-minute show with 10 minutes of information. 10 minutes of new information. It goes back to the other episodes. Look at what I did to my arm. And then it goes even forward into the next episodes. It does not stay in the now moment. So what did we find out? Well, they got their dog, and that was during Ryan having all these red flags about Ken, because Ryan's a little concerned when Gypsy starts texting somebody. He no longer has that trust that, let's face it, he never had since Gypsy told him that she, had a dream, like, what was it, 11 days before their marriage, that she had a dream that Ken wanted her back, and she went with Ken. So that was a huge red flag. And though Ryan says they talked about it, not enough, because you have all of your senses in an uproar for valid reason. Because, well, hindsight's 20/20, and we know that Gypsy's with Ken. But you're going to get Pixie. You're going to start your family, even though you have the red flags. And Gypsy's going to help you with that, because I guess if she thinks, if you don't think about it, it will go away, but she can't help but think about Ken, it ain't going anywhere. It's who she talks about. It's who everybody seems to be talking about on the show, including Ryan. So right off the bat, that's enough red flags for everybody to say, yeah, but it's such an awful show. And it's just, So that's the first part of it. Right away, Ryan's red flags, but they're going to get a dog anyway, because why not? And as they're going there, she's texting, I guess she says her sister, or the address of the place or whatever, but he's already thinking, man, she's gone. So, So guys, I do want you to notice, if you do watch this show, you are going to see that there's a bunch of shit all over the house. Like, that house is so disorganized. I've got boxes everywhere, and I still feel a little bit more organized than they do in the show. So I don't know if it's Gypsy. I don't know if it's Ryan. I do know that I saw pictures of Gypsy's house and Gypsy's bedroom before Ryan ever came into the picture, when she was with Nick doing that thing. And it was atrocious there, too. So that's kind of like 2 out of 2. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that after being incarcerated for 8.5 years and having to keep your stuff in some sort of order, which you do, but she's just not made like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not buying into the fact that she's all, not into hoarding, or that she's got, I don't think she's so clean either, or so organized either. Just to put that out there. And, she gets this dog, And Ryan makes the statement that his family's complete now, which I think he just wants Gypsy to keep telling him, baby, everything's all right, baby, everything's all right. And, you know, she does kind of tell him, but there's a different feeling about it. And especially to him, there's certainly a different feeling about it. But she's holding on to that dog, saying, I've only had the dog for a couple hours and I already love it. I love this dog. That's love? Because we know what happens when you don't have. I mean, it's only a couple weeks later that you don't have the dog anymore. So love comes and goes with Gypsy Rose. Hey, love comes and goes with Gypsy Rose. I'm going to use that as a title. Now you know where I got that from. So, more. So, guys, I'll be honest with you. I tried, like, putting some videos up from the show, and I just keep getting these copyright strikes. So they won't even, like, play those things. So I'm just going to have to entertain you. During the whole show, Ryan's trying to convince himself that Gypsy's not going anywhere, and Gypsy's trying to convince herself and Ryan that she's not going anywhere. But we know what happens because she goes somewhere. And it doesn't just happen at the end of this episode that she basically goes. So her making these promises of, oh, I'm committed to the marriage and this and that, she just looked for anything. She blamed Ryan for things that triggered her and makes ridiculous comments like, I'm sorry, but seriously, she says to her sister, she's with her sister at some point, and she talks about the fact that her sex life. And she gets into some real detailed information that not only she tells her sister about Ryan and her, but also the world. Okay? But I still can't figure out if Ryan's upset that her sister knows or the world, because that changes during an argument that they have about that. But I kind of get it. Like, it's not her business, but I understand why she would tell her sister, but she could have done it later, you know. But Ryan flip-flops back and forth with that. I think he's just mad. So what's funny, in a way, it's not, but it is, because it's bullshit. She says to her sister that she gets triggered, or, you know, it's hard for her with sex because of this abuse, this sexual abuse that she's been through. But the thing is, I think she's talking about, like, her grandfather, right? So that would be alleged. And she was crazy promiscuous. So that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. That's just mind-boggling. You know that she was promiscuous because, well, we've heard the interrogation tapes. She took it every which way and dressed and was K-I-N-K-Y, and come on, man. So I'm not buying that. And she keeps bringing things up to Ryan, like, you're doing this stuff and it triggers me, and he's like buying into it. But you can tell when he says, don't do that, that he's like, you know, is that the way your mom, like, because that's not the way it is. Is that the way your mom controlled you out of concern? First of all, her mom didn't control her. She talks about, you know, getting in the there's just so much that she, you know, I'm doing another interrogation video because I had it going on in the background while I was unpacking, and I'm listening to hers and to Nick's, and I'm doing another interrogation video about the interrogation videos. But just knowing everything we know now and looking back on this episode, and it's like, it's silly crazy, because why we should even know what's happening as it's going on the show, right? Not know what's happening. We already know what the outcome is, and yet some of us, me, are watching the show, but we're interested in just another lie of Gypsy Rose's, apparently, because that's what keeps happening. So I think she had the dog for maybe 2 weeks that she was madly in love with, if it was even that long. And I think maybe she was getting the dog so that she could leave something with Ryan. Like, you can't have me, but you can have the dog. Like, I think that maybe that is something that she did. Because she knew she was leaving. I think she always knew she was leaving. She's trying to blame this man for snoring. Like, so get him the thing that goes up your nose. I mean, there's ways you can get around that. She's sleeping with earplugs. If that bothers you, ask him to get that device that goes on your nose or up your nose. You guys could try some. There's going to be things about Ken that's going to irk you. Irk you. You get that? But I bet you ain't going to consider leaving him. So Ryan was the guy that looked good on paper, and you were hoping for somebody to come along. Maybe you didn't think it was Ken. And then we see Rod, and Rod says something about, first he kind of flip-flops. He tells Christy, stay out of this, it's going to be your fault, and he thinks that Ken should back the fuck up and give Gypsy a fair chance at being with Ryan if Ken honestly loves Gypsy. Okay, so then the next day, and then he says, if something happens, Christy, it'll be on you, in that Bayou accent. The next day he says, he flips the script a little bit, and that's when he says, well, Gypsy's going to make decisions that are like 17, 18-year-old decisions now, even though she's 34. She's going to be making those decisions. I just want her to be happy. I want her to have the one that she loves in her heart, you know. So you see, Christy, that's who he spoke to that night. Christy fed him, hey, what if it's true love? He walked away because he said, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. It didn't come back to you. You spoke to Christy and made it come back to you. But here's the thing. He's not the one that's married to Ryan. Gypsy's married to Ryan. So as many times as Gypsy says in this episode that I'm committed, you know, her actions say something totally different. And that's the problem that Ryan has. And now, as we see it, you know, this doesn't age very well. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't think, if Gypsy's now pregnant, if she's pregnant now, it will be Ken's. Because she was pregnant by Ryan. Yeah, she did away with that by taking a little pill that her sister told her about. That's 72 hours, by the way. You have 72 hours to correct that if you want it corrected. Anyway, guys, that's what happened on this episode of Love After Lockup with Gypsy Rose. I think it was episode 5. Oh, and we meet Ken, and Ken just says that he didn't get involved before, and that something to the effect of, she's gotten a lot bigger than I thought she was, than I had hoped for her. What's that about? You should check that line out. All right, guys. This is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Those of you that aren't subscribed, give me a chance. Welcome me to my new apartment. Pray for my dogs, because like one of them is really having a hard time here. And don't forget, be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Always be kind. Never be Gypsy Rose Blanchard or Ken Urker.